Once upon a time, plants had no leaves at all. They did fine, because the number of stomata that they did have were enough to absorb the carbon dioxide that they needed. This changed 375 million years ago when CO2 levels decreased. In order to adapt, plants grew bigger leaves with more stomata. Plants became more abundant, and animals and insects needed to evolve to catch up. But what caused this drop in CO2 anyway? Well, maybe the plants were responsible. The amount of CO2 in the atmosphere is managed by plants in the long-term carbon cycle. This cycle maintains the exchange of CO2 between rocks, oceans, and the atmosphere. 275 million years ago, oxygen levels went up, changing the world again. This time, everything grew bigger. Plants, animals, and insects all grew to unbelievable sizes. At the end of the Carboniferous period, however, oxygen levels dropped again. As you might expect, the drop caused all these giants to go extinct as the conditions that created them in the first place disappeared. After that, oxygen levels dropped even more, hitting 15%. This event, 250 million years ago, caused 95% of living species at the time to die out. This change in oxygen levels was caused by changes in the ozone layer because of volcanic eruptions. Beyond causing most species to go extinct, it also caused mutations in survivors that allowed them to flourish. Many trees in cold climates shed their leaves. These deciduous trees far outnumber evergreen trees in polar regions. However, they don't do this because it costs less energy and allows them to survive longer. Rather, deciduous trees have evolved such that they do most of their growing during the short summer months. Evergreen trees are more the slow and steady type, slowly gaining mass over the seasons, relying on whatever resources they have. This put the two types on even footing overall. Forest fires help deciduous trees gain an edge over evergreen trees in polar climates. Forest fires are natural and frequent events, spreading through forests at such a pace that many trees are destroyed. In the aftermath, the faster-growing deciduous trees quickly repopulate the land, leaving evergreens to struggle along in their wake. Many people these days know what greenhouse gases are. As the climate emergency becomes increasingly dire, we are all starting to see the effects of what kind of chaos an increase in greenhouse gases can wreak. 50 million years ago, global warming occurred too, caused by the same increase in greenhouse gases that we see now, except that one wasn't caused by humans. Back then, wetlands and tropical forests were spread over much larger tracts of land than they do today, feeding and supporting more animals. As these plants and animals died, their dissolution fed microbes that released greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. Thereafter, CO2 levels dropped again, reducing the number of plants and in turn decreasing the fuel that was feeding the increase of greenhouse gases. Glaciers formed and the sea levels went down. As time passed, CO2 levels continued to go down until they reached an all-time low 30 to 40 million years ago. Then, the climates of the world switched to form the tropic and Antarctic divides we know today. We all know that evolution relies on the survival of the fittest. 30 million years ago, evolution gave certain plants an extra edge by developing a new and better way of undergoing photosynthesis. Only tropical plants have managed to adopt this new method, with more than 75 plant species using it. During photosynthesis, these plants produced acids with molecules consisting of 4 atoms of carbon versus the usual 3. Thus, they become more efficient. Once again, this change was prompted by a drop in CO2 levels. This time, the adaptation prevented C4 plants from wasting energy the way C3 plants did when they accidentally absorbed oxygen rather than CO2. Scientists are still trying to engineer this C4 capability into C3 plants like rice, potatoes, wheat, and soybeans, which may help to feed our increasing population.